An opening statement, and then we can take some questions from the media.
Of course. Last week of the season, the regular season, and I think I said this in the press conference after the game last weekend, but uh, you know, basically comes down to our record being 5-6. We want to extend the season and be ready for be bowl eligible. We got to win this one. I think that's an easy thing to see, but at the same time, want to make sure that you don't jump just to the results. You focus on the standard and the values that you have, and you'll get the results that you want. In terms of the game last week, of being able to evaluate it a little bit more and watch the film, really pleased with the guys' effort and the guys' belief in playing and stuck in it. Obviously, didn't make enough plays to come out with the victory, but a lot of things to be proud of. I know after the game, it's easy for us to focus on the negatives, and I did that quite a bit, which is was part of the learning process. We need to make sure that we're realistic and that there's the the errors that we had in the game, that we fix them and find a way to not to have those show up again. And so, and then on the other side of things, just try to make sure that we praise them for the good things that we saw. There's a lot of really good things that we saw on the field in all three phases. And sometimes when after a loss, the focus becomes all on the negative. I think it's important now today and evaluating that we praise the guys and build them from, continue to motivate them for the things that we saw that were positives. And so we're going to do that going into this week. On the road, Thanksgiving week, a lot to be thankful for. I want to still have the attitude of appreciation and gratitude. And so what a great opportunity for us to play the game on this weekend and do it after Thanksgiving, to reflect on what we've been blessed with and the opportunities that we have and the people that we have around us. And so, for our players, it's a great time. I liked this time last year where we can remember the things that we should be thankful and grateful for. Going against a tough opponent, another ranked team, Oklahoma State, who's in contention for the conference championship. A well-coached team. Mike Gundy is a great head coach. He's been around for a long time. He's one of the longer tenured coaches in college football, and so he's always been kind and gracious to me in our interactions. I like him as a person. I like the interaction we've had, and it's been really cool for him to just give me time and just to speak with me. And we talk about random things, but really I like the things that he does as a coach, and he's done a great job assembling great coaching staffs, and he's done that again. He has a great coaching staff that works really well. I mean, I know a bunch of those guys on his staff and support staff. One of them is my cousin. Benny Tonga is my family, and then we have Charlie Dickey, who's an O-line coach that I worked with for so many years at Utah. So I'm really familiar. And then a lot of the coaches there have great reputations in the business, and so I've been around them and seen what they've done, the product that they've put forth as coaches. And man, they're a well-coached team. You don't just become a ranked team just by coincidence. They do things the right way, coach the right way. Their guys play hard, tons of athleticism on both sides of the ball. Playmaking ability, running back. That's one of the best running backs in the country. And so when you talk about his running ability, you have to give a lot of credit to the O-line and the guys that block tight ends. And then when you combine that with they can throw the ball up on you and make you pay when you load the box. So it seems like we're saying the same thing every week in these Big 12 opponents. They have a lot to play for because they're trying to go to the conference championship. We have a lot to play for because we're trying to get bowl eligible. We're at their home. It's going to be their senior game. So we're excited about the matchup. Looking forward to seeing our guys play this last game on regular season and trying to find a way to extend our season so we can hang out a little bit more and enjoy what comes with bowl games, which is the extra practices and the extra time together. So with that being said, I'd like to answer any questions you guys have.
Let's go Jared and then Kevin.
Kalani, I want to delve a little bit into some of those hurry-up plays where the guys get up really quick onto the ball and try and confuse the defense. Do you guys have analytics on those, of how often they succeed and what works and what doesn't work? I just kind of wonder about the the approach there.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that do it. It's not just unique to us. I mean, that's a very common thing that you mentioned, and a lot of teams are doing it because it works. And the whole purpose of that is to cause chaos on the defense, to keep the same guys on the field after you've converted a first down and made a big gain. Maybe it's a little bit longer in the drive, and so you're trying to get them down there when they're tired. They've got to run quite a bit of distance to get there in the goal line. That's where it happens quite often. And then you're trying to cause chaos and trying to get them scrambled in what play you're going to do. And so normally the chaos happens on that side and confusion. In our game, the confusion happened on our end. And whenever we're confused, it's when you go back to the basics. You don't make things more difficult. You just go with what you know. And anytime there's any kind of confusion where you don't know who's covering what and things aren't pretty clear to you as an offensive player, then you just go with the basics, which is hand the ball off. And we didn't do that well enough, so we got to keep practicing that and make sure that our guys, do the basics, especially with understanding the situation, the risks that are involved with all that, the decision making in that time and the point of the game too.
Also, just on a broader sense, the philosophy when there's something you've worked on but it isn't consistently working, whether it's a certain run play, a certain pass play, or maybe some of these hurry up plays that we're talking about, when do you try and keep working on it to make them effective versus focusing on other things? What's the balance there?
Well, that's the conundrum of college football, and you find yourself in a situation where, hey, this doesn't work anymore, but it does, So when something doesn't work completely, then you don't do it. There's a time when people didn't want to snap the ball in shotgun, you know what I mean, Jared? And now they're all doing it. So, and there's some teams that don't do it because maybe they don't have a center that can do that, or they don't feel comfortable with that scheme. But a lot of people are starting to see that there's different ways to do things. For us, you're right. It's how do you balance the time spent on this, especially if it's not executing at a high level? And that's our job. We got to make sure that we put our guys in better position to have success and make better decisions.
Hey, Kalani, as you kind of make a decision at quarterback this week between Keaton and Jake, I'm curious, do you think the offense, and particularly the running game, can work as well with Keaton in there, with maybe not as mobile of a quarterback? And is that part of the equation this week as you kind of make a decision at quarterback?
Yeah, I think going into this week, it's who's going to help us put points on the board, extend drives, convert first downs, and that's what the goal is going to be. And Keaton hasn't been healthy. He's been practicing. They've been competing against each other, and whoever gives us the best chance will be the guy taking the first snap. It's not to say that the other one's eliminated from being in the game. That's just where we're at right now. And that's not just in that position. There's a lot of positions where we need guys to keep competing. I mean, one that comes to mind also is the middle linebacker position, where Chaz Ayu played a lot more this week with Siale not being available, and then we had Harris has been really good. Harrison has been really good, but the competition continues, and so when guys are banged up and they're battling with each other for a starting spot and reps, you gotta do it one way. Then that's the only way I know how, and that's go with the best guy that wins the actual spot in that week. And we have to create situations where in practice this week we know what we got, and that's what we go with.
And just as a follow-up, I think you said that he made a lot of progress last week on Saturday. You said that, I think. Do you imagine he'll be a full participant in practice this week, and do you think he'll be fully healthy and available for you if you want to go with him?
Well, he'll be practicing this week. In terms of fully healthy, it's like I don't think there's a bunch of guys on the team that aren't at 100%, but maybe 90% gets it done. That's we settle it on the field. That's where we do it. We settle the competition and who plays the best by what we do on the field, and like I said, that's the only way I know how to do it.
Thanks, guys. A couple more questions from Mitch and then Jake.
Kalani, just to follow up on that, is this then would you say, because of Slovis's progress, a true quarterback competition to decide the starter between Retzlaff and Slovis instead of waiting to see if Slovis is healthy or not?
Yeah, I think that's what it's been. That's what I've been saying the whole entire time. when someone's healthy and doing it right, there's no okay, now I decide I'm healthy. It's a lot of guys. You have to prove it on the field, guys. I mean, we have to see it, you know. So I know guys are playing banged up. We have a lot of guys that are playing banged up. They have to compete with the guys on the depth chart to earn their right to be on the field. And so whenever there's change up in the starting position or the depth chart, it's because the guys have earned their spot, and the guys have dropped, whether it's production or whether it's health. That's all factors in us making the decision.
You mentioned this earlier about some of the coaching staff connections that you have with Oklahoma State, and I'm curious. Oklahoma State's had some recent success with recruits in Utah, including a former BYU commit, Nathan Latu. How often are you going up against Oklahoma State on the recruiting trail for prospects? Because it seems like they've had some success in Utah in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of recruiting nowadays, where you're recruiting a lot of different areas, and then when you're going into a conference, I think schools are going to start looking at this state and looking at. There's a lot of prospects in this state, and then with the growth in the population in Utah, you can see that there's the more people that move in, the more schools that we build, and have more young people, the more opportunities to recruit kids. So that's just part of the game, and now with technology, you can go anywhere, and with the ability to travel with technology again, I mean, it's an easy move. So that's just part of it. We're going to have to. Recruiting is always an everyday thing for us, and that's part of our program. So that's part of it. We gotta fight off the people that recruit here, but we can't. I wish I could take them all, guys. I wish I could take all the best players, but that's a part of recruiting. That we have to have the right guys that fit this school and fit our standards and our expectations and what the fans expect, and then we go with that. And part of that is just getting guys that want to be here too.
Kalani, last two games, you guys have had your best rushing outputs of the season, in particular this past week against Oklahoma. Is there anything you can point to that's kind of keyed that?
Yeah, I think the guys have been a lot more assignment sound. I mean, we're not missing on as many blocks as we've had in the past, and for whatever reason, I think A-Rod's, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Aiden being healthy and having all the backs available. But also, with what we're doing scheme-wise, I think that's all those factors kind of play into it. Quarterback making the right reads and pulling and running or pulling and throwing. I think those are all factors that kind of play into it. So, but yeah, I'm glad that the guys are playing better and getting more production with yards and things like that. I like to see, just for me, I like to see more points on the board and less mistakes and less turnovers.
And obviously with Thanksgiving on Thursday, how does it affect your guys' schedule with travel, et cetera, to Stillwater?
Yeah, we're traveling on Friday. We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. I mean, we'll have a team. We'll practice. We practice in the afternoon, so we'll practice Tuesday, and we'll have our practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and then do like a team Thanksgiving dinner Wednesday night, so we can load up on with food before we actually have Thanksgiving. So we got 2 Thanksgivings. I plan on gaining some weight this week, so don't judge me, guys. That we'll do that, and then on Thursday we'll practice in the mornings. In the morning on Thursday, be done by the afternoon, so our players can go spend time with their families. And those that are not from here will go to coaches' homes or other teammates' homes to enjoy Thanksgiving. So that's the plan. Then we'll fly out on Friday, with it being only 1 hour time difference with the time zones. Usually if it's 2 time zones, that's when we'll fly out on Thursday.
Go ahead, Jay.
Kalani, after the last game of the regular season last year, you obviously made some really painful decisions and released some of your coaches. Are you considering any changes this year? And are you happy with the performances of your coordinators and assistant coaches?
My focus is on getting this game going, and all our attention and our focus has to be on this game. Immediately after the game and after the season, I'm always evaluating where we can improve, and that's even I look at myself first, and then we look at other things. I have an obligation to to the players on our team and an obligation to the fans to do the right things. That's why they put me here as a head coach. And sometimes the decisions are difficult. Sometimes they're pretty easy. So right now, my focus completely is on the team and the season. And so the season still has one more week. That's what we're going to be focused on. And then we'll decide after that, right after the game's done, on what we're going to do.
All right. Thanks, Coach. You're good to go. Have a great week.
All right, guys. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Sorry about that, guys. We've got Nisa Mah next up. So if you have questions for Nisa. Hey, Nisa, how are ya?
Doing good.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Let's go ahead and start with Jared Lloyd.
Yes, I was asking Kalani about the philosophy as far as those hurry-up plays where the offense rushes up to the line and tries to go before the defense is ready. I know you faced that on a defensive side. What's that like as a defensive player when the offense tries to really, ramp up the tempo and snap the ball quick?
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, it's just trying to get us off guard and try to get us out of positions for them to make, more a better place for them. But I feel like it all just comes back to preparation and what we do during practice. We practice that a lot as far as tempo goes, trying to receive the calls and to know what we're supposed to do as far as the plays go. And, it all just comes to preparation. I feel like for the most part, especially against Oklahoma, we're able to do that because they're a really fast-tempo team, but definitely not the first one that we faced this season or career-wise. It just all comes down to preparation and being able to receive the calls and then get our hands on the ground.
Then, just kind of a broader picture. I said, what's the feeling on the team right now? Again, it was another loss, disappointing that way, but better performance than previous weeks. So what's the feeling as you're around the guys?
Yeah, even this morning, just going through film and, being with the boys, all of us are just really motivated to get things up and going. As far as today and just getting that extra film work against Oklahoma State and just trying to understand our game plan for this week. Defensively motivated, offensively motivated, and including special teams. So I feel like we're trying to keep this going up until Saturday.
Go ahead, Jake.
Nice. So you guys seemed to held up against the run early on, sort of about 3/4 of that game against Oklahoma. Then it kind of fell apart. What did they change in that fourth quarter that allowed them to start gashing you guys?
I feel like they just were able to execute as far as what gaps, and just they have a really elusive running back, really good player, and he was able to find the gaps, and some of us were out of position. It all just came down to who was executing better, and they were able to find those gaps and to execute when they found those gaps. And as far as us, we're just either out of position or just pretty much. That's kind of what I saw as far as like the second half of the game.
And now, as you come towards the end of your time at BYU, can you kind of reflect back on everything that's happened? You've dealt with injuries and medical concerns, all that stuff. How's it been from your perspective?
I mean, it's definitely been a journey. It's been a process. It's been a grind. Coming back from plenty of injuries. But I just know that, I'm not the only one. I know that there's a lot of people who had been dealt similar cards, but it's all just been trying to be resilient and just trying to be an asset to the team and doing my part. And still continuing trying to do that going into this next game.
You're up, Sean.
Yeah, nice. So you talk about Oklahoma's run game and kind of stopping that. I thought you guys held up pretty well for most of that game, like you mentioned there. Going into this week, Oklahoma State's also got a pretty good running back, one of the best in the nations. In fact, is that a pretty big emphasis for you guys? And what's just kind of your first takeaway, I guess, of that Oklahoma State run game?
Yeah, like I said earlier, like we've been watching film. Ollie Gordon, he's a really good running back. Um, I'm pretty sure he's a freshman, 19 years old. I mean, averages almost 7 yards a carry. He's had over 1,400 yards in the year, and so yeah, we've been watching him just throughout the season, and he's a really good player. Really excited to play against him. Definitely not the first great running back that we played against this year, but he really is. Someone to watch, and so we're just as a defensive player, and especially D line, we're always trying to stop the run. So it's always a challenge, and we're always up for the challenge to be able to play against great players and to kind of just show what we have, and to show that we have the ability to either stop it or to play against it. So really excited for this upcoming game against him.
Building off of that a little bit, just so many consecutive games, just back to back to back to back. It feels like you guys have faced really strong running backs, really strong offensive lines. Does that wear on you guys a little bit, or is it just kind of something that you've got to get used to, like welcome to the Big 12?
It definitely is a welcome to the Big 12. At the same time, it's playing. I feel like for anyone playing against a great opponent, over the course of the season, your body starts to wear and tear, and a lot of bumps and bruises and scrapes, and but it all just comes down to your personal commitment of whether you're taking care of your body throughout the season. And it's sometimes things are inevitable with specific injuries that you just have to battle through. So I mean, for the most part, it does take its toll. But then again, you just gotta find a way to do your job. So.
Okay, nice. So we've got one last question. Go ahead, Jared.
Nisa, you've played games on Thanksgiving week before. What impact does it have on you as a player? Just the adjusted schedule, having the holiday on the Thursday. What impact does that have?
For me specifically, I feel like it just gives me an opportunity to kind of reflect on not only the season, but kind of just life in general. I mean, I'm going to be able to go home and spend time with my family. It's been a minute since I've been able to do that. Just so busy with school and football. So definitely a needed step back from football and just enjoying time with my family. And then being able to just kind of having to switch that mentality and going into, Friday in preparation for the game. So, but it's definitely a great opportunity to step away from football.
Awesome. Thanks, Nisa. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank
you.
you.
Have a great week.
Thank you. See you at class.
See ya.
defensive back, I know you faced it when teams have tried to hurry up and get a quick snap and try and maybe catch you out of position. What's that like as a player? Do you like it when teams do that? Do you like it when they go quick and try and catch you off guard, or is it hard? What's that like?
It's definitely a challenge for us. I feel like our coaches are very good at preparing us during the week for teams that play with tempo, so it's nothing crazy for us, but yeah, we're pretty used to it.
Then in a broader sense, just when you have a game like you guys had this last week where you're so close but it doesn't end up going your way, what's the response? What do you see from the team? What do you have to do to kind of bounce back and kind of fight through last chance this week? So
Man, I just think it's the little things. If we fix the little things, then I think the outcome of the game is different. We need bigger plays. We need to get turnovers as a defense, and yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, Jacob, after the game the other day, Eddie said something interesting. He said that you guys worked harder this week preparing for Oklahoma than ever before. Do you think that played into the part that you guys played better, or do you think Eddie was maybe just kind of, not remembering how hard you worked in the past?
Honestly, so Coach Hill challenged everyone to just study whatever, like football related, whether it's Oklahoma or just your technique. He encouraged everyone to study at least 2 hours a day this week. I think that helped a lot, but I feel like we've been studying a lot in the past weeks. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But
And what do you think that playing them close can do for you guys moving forward in terms of confidence?
yeah, I think just knowing that we have a lot of potential, we can really beat whoever we want. We just gotta do what's asked of us and just put it on the field.
Go ahead, Jake, and then Jared.
Jacob, I wanted to ask you, you're not necessarily the biggest guy, and we've talked about this in the past, how you're not the biggest dude out there, but you're a very willing tackler. What makes you willing to throw your body in there?
I mean, I've always just liked tackling since the time I was young. I feel like I used to watch like Ray Lewis videos. I just have always been intrigued by it. So I just think just gotta go for it if it comes. So.
I also wanted to ask you, just in terms of how would you evaluate your play overall this season? I know you still have a game, maybe two to play, but how would you evaluate how you've performed this year?
I think at the beginning of the year I've done pretty good. The middle of the year wasn't as what I wanted. I just want to allow less receptions and make more plays, more interceptions. So I think this last game is going to be nice, and hopefully we'll get to a bowl game so we can make more plays.
Jacob, I want to ask you kind of a Thanksgiving question, given the week that we're at. It's college football, so much seems to be focused on the money and the greed, whether you're talking coaches' contracts or NIL deals or different things like that. How hard is it as a college football player when you're so locked in to have time to be grateful? I know Kalani pushes that a lot, but how hard is that?
I mean, I don't think it's that hard to be grateful. We're grateful just to play this sport, to have everything we have here at BYU, just to have my family here close to me, just able to see them honestly whenever I want, and just have like great teammates, have great roommates, and yeah, it's nice.
How much do you enjoy Thanksgiving? Because you still got a game to play, so you still got to play. You got to be ready and practicing and doing. Are you able to enjoy the holidays still?
Yeah, so we're gonna practice in the morning, then we'll be able to go do Thanksgiving dinner with our families. And if you're not from here, then you can come to my house. You can go to any of the coaches' houses. So.
Do you have players going with you?
Yeah, I think I might have some of my roommates. So.
Go ahead, Sean.
I had a better question, but I just got to really quickly follow up on your Thanksgiving plans there, Jacob. Are you the all-time quarterback at your family's turkey bowl, or stick to QB?
I don't know. I'm not usually the quarterback, but I usually like to play receiver. We'll see if we even do one this year. I don't know if we'll do one, but just got a lot of young kids running around in my family right now, so we'll see.
That's true. That's true. You've got pretty good hands. I can see you playing receiver there with your family turkey a little.
Thank you.
Your hands are impressive. Speaking of those hands, it's been a minute. Obviously, you guys didn't force a takeaway last week. There was so much talk about turnovers on the offensive side of the ball. Is that a focus for you guys, that goose egg that you had in that takeaway column, and being able to force more havoc, force more turnovers that way, so that you're not losing that lopsided turnover margin, I guess, this week?
Yeah. Every week, Coach Hill just talks about, like, do what we can do to get turnovers. We want sacks. We want fumbles. We want interceptions. Last week, I think it's on us as players that we didn't get any turnovers. We just got to start jumping more routes. We got to start going for the ball more. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. I think that's all the questions for today.
Of course. Thank you.
Have a good week.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. Guys, next up we'll have Connor Pay.
Right there.
Hey Connor, how's it going?
Hey guys.
Thanks for being here.
No problem.
Just start with some questions with Jared Lloyd.
Connor, I want to ask about the, get on the ball plays. Obviously, the one at the goal line is the one people have been talking about, but it seemed to me throughout the year that a lot of times the defense seems to be able to create some havoc on those rush plays when you get up and go really quick. What's your perception? What have you seen just as you've watched the film and seen those plays during games?
I think for us, for the most part, those plays have been pretty successful for what they're designed to be. And, obviously that play, didn't exactly go the way it was supposed to go. But for the most part, when we go in those hurry-up situations, it usually puts the defense on their heels a little bit, which a lot of times can give us lanes when we need it in the run game. But, sometimes when the defense is kind of scrambling in that situation, sometimes they'll throw two guys in a gap or something like that just by accident. They might luck into a decent defensive play. So, but I think for the most part, those have worked well for us this year.
I asked Kalani about this earlier, but I'm curious your perspective. When you work on something, but then it doesn't work in a game, or you run it a few times and it doesn't seem to be doing well, what's it like as a player when the coaches make the decision, do we keep going with this and try and make it work, versus when do we start doing something different? What's that like as a player when they have to kind of make that choice?
I mean, obviously it's frustrating as a player when, you worked on something all week. You feel like you've got it dialed in, and then for whatever reason, there's a lot of reasons, that something may not work in a game. But I think, for us, the coaches kind of have that view from upstairs, because my view, especially in the middle, only extends 5 to maybe 7 guys maximum of me understanding kind of what's happening. They kind of have a better view than me, and they can kind of see things in ways we can take advantage of the defense. And so, they make adjustments as they see fit and what the defense is presenting to us. So
I'm not seeing another question, so I'll ask another one. How rewarding was it to be able to have the success on the ground finally, have a week like you guys did?
It was, it felt really good for us as an offensive line, to kind of be able to roll those guys off the ball a little bit and, have a good established run game, which is something that we felt that we, could have had the entire season, just mistakes here, things there. We've just been kind of hurting ourselves. And so to finally kind of put it together for really the majority of an entire game was, it was really good for us. Obviously, it's a little dampered by the outcome, but, that's one positive we can take from this game.
Go ahead, Jay.
Connor, you're really good at explaining things. So how would you explain to the casual fan how you guys can struggle to run the ball against the likes of West Virginia, Iowa State, and then turn around against the number 14 team in the country and do so well? Is it just scheming? What goes into that turnaround?
I think, there's a few things. Scheme is definitely a part of it, just kind of putting yourself in a position as an offense to, be successful and to, attack kind of weak points of the defense. But it really comes down to all 11 guys doing their job. Even if one guy doesn't do their job the way they're supposed to, it can blow up an entire play. And it can make a play look terrible when in reality 10 of the guys were doing it exactly how they were supposed to be doing it, and it was just the one. And I think a lot of the issues we had early on was it was just one, maybe two guys who didn't quite get it done at any position, and that can kind of stifle an entire play, and so I think having all the guys on the same page this week and everyone just executing what they were supposed to do on that play. We don't have to do anything crazy. Just do what you're expected to do and what you're supposed to do. And, we put ourselves in a position to be successful. And so, maybe it's one guy not quite getting it done on a backside cutoff or a reach block, or a receiver not running a guy off the way he's supposed to, or not blocking the way he's supposed to, or the quarterback and the running back not quite getting through the mesh the way they're supposed to, so it muddies the read for the quarterback. There's a lot of things, that can make a play, look like, man, that was just a bust, when really it was just one simple thing. And it kind of feels like throughout the season, it's like, okay, we fixed this, and then this problem pops up. We fix this, and then this problem pops up. And I feel like, this last game was kind of the first time this year as an offense that we felt we're running our offense the way it was supposed to be run. Everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it put us in positions to be successful. And, obviously just at the end of the day, just a few too many mistakes to get the win.
Then I wanted to ask you real quickly about Caleb moving from tackle to guard. You've obviously moved positions. How do you think he's doing, and why is he seemingly more successful at guard than tackle?
I don't know if there's a specific thing that's, made him more successful at guard than tackle. Obviously, it's a big adjustment regardless of what position you're playing. But I think his size and his physicality gives him an advantage when he's playing guard, because he's so big and he's so strong. And at guard, you kind of have a smaller space to work with. And so he can kind of just put that power to use and just go after people. And, I think he's done a good job with it.
Okay, Connor, last question from Jared Lloyd.
Thanksgiving week, Connor, that's big man holiday, right? You guys celebrate, have a lot of food. What's your favorite part of Thanksgiving?
Not having school back half of the week, and then getting to spend time with family. So I think that's because it's my family's pretty large, and so it's pretty rare for everyone to be together in one place at the same time. And so we'll get close this year. We won't quite have everybody, but I think, just it's a time of the year that everyone sets aside to have the family together, which is as we get older too, and, people are getting married, having kids and families of their own. It gets harder and harder to do every year. So.
Are you gonna have teammates come this year?
Say that again?
I was just wondering if you were going to have teammates join your family, because I know you've got a big family. So
I don't know yet. We'll have to see. We always make sure everybody has a place. So I've actually joined teammates two out of the last 3 Thanksgivings, because since my family's been out of town, and so everyone gets taken care of.
Well, I was just wondering who's going to eat the most, because I know your brother's a big guy, you're a big guy, your family, you guys got some guys that can eat, so,
I don't know. We'll have to see. I'll have to report back.
Awesome. Thanks, Connor. Appreciate
All right. Thanks, guys.
Time to be here.